Good morning, students. Today's lesson I'd like to help you to understand what the terms genetic code and genetic modification mean. Both of these terms are very important if you want to understand the text that you're going to be reading in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Before we get to genetic modification, let's understand fully what the word genetic code means. Our body is made up entirely of trillions and trillions of cells stuck together. These cells, we cannot see them, but scientists tell us that they are there and that inside of them we can find something called DNA. DNA is our genetic code. Our genetic code are written instructions on how we are to grow and behave. Our genetic code was in us from before we were born. It is made up of 50% of the genetics of our father and 50% of the genes of our mother. So our genetic code or our genes are inherited from our mother and father. Our genes or genetic code will tell us whether we'll be tall or short. It can determine whether we'll be good at school or artistic. It will determine whether we'll be good sportsmen or perhaps good musicians. It can also tell us what color eyes we should have. Would we have blue, brown, green eyes, or perhaps it would determine whether we'd need to wear glasses when we grow up or not. This genes would determine what kind of color hair we would have, if it would be straight or curly, and what color skin. But all living things have a genetic code. Take for instance this dog and this cat. Imagine they were born on the same day and I fed them exactly the same food for exactly the same amount of time. Would they grow up to look exactly the same? Of course not, because they each have a different genetic code. That genetic code determines how the food changes them and helps them grow. Plants are also living organisms and also have a genetic code. Many of the plants are the food that we eat. Scientists have discovered that if they change the genetic code of plants, that they could make the plants or the food that we eat bigger, taste better, last longer, and many other things. This is what we call genetic modification. Genetic modification is changing the genetic code of something to make it better. Thank you.